obliterated Gavin Newsom. Yes, the same guy he's defended for years. But even Maher has a breaking point, and California's collapse pushed him over the edge. Maher didn't just criticize. He torched Newsom's legacy. Sky-high crime, homelessness exploding, businesses fleeing. Maher called it what it is, a disaster. The so-called 2028 frontrunner, Maher shredded that fantasy on live TV. No more liberal loyalty, no more excuses. If you want unfiltered truth with a flamethrower attached, stay right here, because Maher's takedown is a political blood. Didn't waste a single second. He went for the jugular. And the target? California's red tape hellscape under Gavin Newsom's watch. What was once the land of opportunity has turned into a bureaucratic black hole where progress goes to die. Maher isn't irritated, he's seething. To him, California isn't being governed, it's being strangled by layers of useless regulation and self-congratulatory politics. And he brought receipts. Remember last year's wildfires? Maher called it exactly what it was, a government slow-motion train wreck. Now fast forward to today, ICE-related riots erupting across the state. And what's Newsom doing? Playing to the crowd while the streets burn. There's lawlessness on every corner, and the guy in charge is too busy peacocking for Twitter. Newsom's knee-jerk move? Cozy up to rioters and publicly dare Trump to come for him. This isn't leadership, it's political theater on the edge of collapse. Maher just exposed the rot, and he's not done yet. But after the internet lit up and backlash came crashing in from all directions, Gavin Newsom buckled. Under the weight of bipartisan fury, the golden boy of the left dropped the act and went into full damage control mode. He took to the mic with a forced apology, stumbling through excuses, backpedaling like his political life depended on it. Because it did. Gone was the swagger, replaced by a panicked plea for forgiveness and a desperate attempt to rewrite the narrative. Then came the tough guy routine. Newsom suddenly started barking threats, promising arrests, and talking like he hadn't just spent days winking at the chaos. But the public wasn't buying the act. Not for a second. The whiplash was brutal. What looked like a leader trying to restore order came off as a politician clinging to relevance. Too slow, too staged, too obvious. By the time Newsom found his spine, California had already lost faith. Like this supposed to lead anything, let alone the entire United States. Gavin Newsom couldn't even get a grip on the meltdown unfolding right outside his mansion. And we're supposed to trust him with a nuclear football? Picture this, a hostile foreign power testing our resolve. Would Newsom crumble under pressure, offer another PR-crafted apology, then scramble to mop up the wreckage? Because that's the playbook we've seen. Stall, spin, and pray. The media softens the blow. Maher sees right through it. This isn't leadership. It's cosplay governance wrapped in buzzwords and photo ops. And he's sounding the alarm. California's collapse isn't a fluke. It's a preview of what could happen nationwide. If this is the left's prototype for the White House, Maher's out, and millions of Americans are right behind him. Even within his own party, whispers are growing louder. Newsom's not just a long shot, he's political dead weight.
Doesn't think you can win.
And this isn't coming from some conservative firebrand. This is a black voter who's likely backed Democrats his whole life. Even he's had enough of Gavin Newsom. Not just because Newsom's too progressive, but because he's straight up inept. Pick your poison, Kamala's word salads or Gavin's California disaster reel. Either way, it's a nightmare. Sure, Newsom's got the hair, but no results. Skyrocketing crime, homelessness everywhere, and an economy circling the drain. That's not leadership. That's failure in a tailored suit. And people are noticing. Even Mel Gibson is dragging Newsom's name through the mud. If this is the future of the Democratic Party, they're headed straight off a cliff. Gavin Newsom and Karen Bass should do the one thing they've never done as leaders: take responsibility and step down. Their reign has been a masterclass in failure, and Californians are the ones footing the bill. The state's been dragged into chaos, sky-high taxes, exploding crime, unaffordable housing, and a bureaucratic nightmare so dense it's choking progress to death. People aren't waiting around for change. They're fleeing. Joe Rogan, Ben Shapiro, and countless others have ditched California, fed up with the crushing costs and political dysfunction. And they're not outliers. They're the tip of the iceberg. When the middle class, small businesses, and families are running from the so-called Golden State, that's not mismanagement. It's collapse. Newsom and Bass had their shot. They failed. And even Bill O'Reilly says it. Newsom should resign. And honestly, he's right. Now, Bill O'Reilly didn't drop any names, but let's not kid ourselves. Everyone knows who he was really talking about. Gavin Newsom. Think about it. Who was the first to flirt with the chaos when the protests exploded? Who offered soft, sanitized statements instead of real leadership? Newsom didn't condemn the madness. He tiptoed around it, trying to play both sides while the streets burned. And it gets worse. Reports are swirling. Frozen water bottles, masks, supplies handed out like party favors. This wasn't some grassroots flash mob. Someone's bankrolling it, someone's organizing it. And if those someones trace back to groups aligned with Newsom, that's not just political cowardice, that's collusion. Leaders are supposed to put out fires, not fan the flames from the shadows. If Newsom's crew is quietly fueling the unrest, California isn't just in crisis, it's being sabotaged from within. And the public deserves more than silence. O'Reilly didn't need to say Gavin Newsom's name because everyone knew exactly who he meant. The slick hair, the polished speeches, the desperate scramble for national relevance, Newsom's practically campaigning already. He hasn't announced a 2028 run, but the signs are flashing like neon. Non-stop media appearances, a podcast dressed up as bipartisan outreach, and a sudden rebrand into Mr. Unity. But beneath the surface, a ruthless game of political chess. Here's the kicker. While Newsom's busy polishing his image for the national stage, California is unraveling. And the question is chilling. Is he letting the streets burn just to win applause from the radical fringe? He's pushing soft-on-crime policies, playing footsie with unrest, and ducking accountability when the state explodes. That's not vision, that's opportunism on fire. And O'Reilly called him out, loud and clear. He compared LA's chaos to New York's firm response, and the contrast is damning. One took control, the other folded like a cheap suit. If this is Newsom's audition for president, he just flunked it in front of the entire country.
In New York, and you didn't need the federal presence.
That's what real leadership looks like. Decisive, fearless, and present. The kind of leader who doesn't wait for polls to tell them what to do. New York's governor, a fellow Democrat, stepped up when it mattered. No theatrics, no virtue signaling, just swift action to stop the chaos before it exploded. She read the moment, deployed resources, enforced the law, and made one thing crystal clear. Protecting lives and livelihoods comes first. No mixed messages, no coddling both sides. Just bold leadership in real time. Now look at Gavin Newsom. His response? Delayed, watered down, drenched in political calculation. While cities burned and businesses crumbled, he stood on the sidelines trying not to offend his base. That's not leadership, it's cowardice dressed in designer suits. When leaders freeze, people suffer. Neighborhoods get torched, trust vanishes. And the message is loud and clear. Newsom's not governing, he's campaigning. And the cost? Californians are the ones paying the price.
Or the notion we just have to continue to talk to ourselves or we're in the same damn echo chamber. These guys are crushing us. The Democratic brand is toxic right now. We had a high water mark 2 weeks ago, and that was a CNN poll at 29% favorability. It's dropped in the NBC poll down to 27%. It's one thing to make noise, but you also have to make sense.
Shockingly, Gavin Newsom actually landed on the right side of this one. Because let's be real, the Democratic Party is rotting from the inside out. The contradictions, the fake virtue signaling, the endless infighting. It's become so toxic that even the party's own loyal soldiers are jumping ship. Case in point, Karine Jean-Pierre, former White House press secretary, a frontline defender of the party's every move. Gone. She didn't spill every detail on her way out, but she didn't have to. You don't abandon the top tier of power unless the whole structure is collapsing. And behind the PR fluff and clean exits, the truth screams through. She was suffocated by the very dysfunction she once stood up for. The party has lost touch with reality, obsessed with identity buzzwords, allergic to real solutions, and totally disconnected from working Americans. Even Newsom can't pretend it's fine. He might still be clinging to the ship, But when the insiders start bailing, it's not just smoke, it's a 5-alarm political inferno. And with that, we're closing the curtain on today's fiery breakdown. If this shook you, hit that like button and subscribe. We're just getting started. See you in the next episode.